Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Anarchy Analysis. And we're doing something a little bit different here. We're doing the entire game as a cast. We're analysing everything as we see it. And, of course, this is for Evil Geniuses and C9. Now, coming into this week's game, both teams are on a perfect 2-0 record. And one of them records that's undefeated is going to get smashed today. And the possibility of a perfect split ends. Now, these teams are kind of considered the best in the league, and in my opinion, going to be quite hard to obviously beat. So, this game as a whole should be very interesting to break down, and right now we're going to jump into Champion Select. So, we load into draft. Immediately we see the Graves removed here from Cloud9. Graves, big carry in the jungle in late game situations, as well as being very good at able to set up ganks. The response though from EG is the Varus. Again, it's the strongest ADC in the league currently. Very high amount of poke. The response though from C9 is a Trundle. Again, a lot of focus towards the jungle here, limiting Svenska and champ pool. Trundle obviously is a champion that stops tanks, so C9 possibly wanting to build a big bulky frontline. EG again banning out the OPs here, removing the Syndra. Very powerful champion, obviously with the Scour of the Week and the amount of burst potential this champion has. It's a good removal, plus the flex between Jizuke and Bang as a possibility, as well as Niski and Sven. C9 removed the LeBlanc, a champion that's very, very potent for Jizuke. One of his kind of big picks alongside the Echo. A high amount of burst assassin, a lot of movement, and very, very good. Thresh, the last ban for EG. Big hook champion. It's probably the best hook champion currently in the meta. A lot of tools to provide mobility to your team, as well as the ability to lock someone down. Now the first pick, it is 100% pick rate for Blabber Deceit Blit, being the Olaf, being locked in. He's won both games on it, and it's very, very strong for him. Obviously, use of Ragnarok to get through the CC and lockups, which tanks normally bring, so the removal of the Trundle by C9 could come against them. Aphelios, though, locked in for EG, locking in probably the most prevalent S-tier ADC in the league, or in the game at the moment. High amount of burst, a lot of damage coming through as like 4 main item kit. Lee Sin though picked up alongside him, again a champion that can just move around the map freely, set up ganks and do a lot of work. The response though from C9 is the Ezreal Yuumi, probably one of the most dominating bot lanes in the league. A high amount of poke and sustain with the Yuumi. Ezreal can just keep proking with the Qs and is one of Sven's main picks. He's very good on this champion and it's very hard to obviously lock down this combo. And what goes well with an Aphelios is another Enchanter, Lulu this time being picked up for EG. Great champion, a lot of lockdown in its kit. Obviously you can buff up the Aphelios with your ultimate, and yeah, it's a nice champion in terms of the sort of protection it provides to the Yuumi and Ezreal combo of damage. Ban phase now, Zoe and Galio removed by EG right now. We see the Zoe as a high amount of burst. We're obviously limiting the amount of champions Niski can play, and Niski was very, very prevalent on the Zoe in playoffs at the end of spring. So good ban there. Ryze and TF though banned out by C9, two big mid laners that do a lot of damage. It's very hard to deal with them too, so good bans out there, and Galio is the last ban. Getting into the last few picks here, we start with the Volley Pit there. Getting 100% pick rate on this day. Champion that's been put in the top lane can technically be put in jungle, but obviously the Lee Sin's locked in already. It's a big bulky boy in the sense that he brings down his E, he gets a load of armor. The more attacks that he lands, the more attack speed he gets. He's very hard to deal with and has a stunner's kit. A champion that's could deal with him and do quite a bit of damage is the Jace. The only issue with it being is it's a full AD team so far out of Cloud9, so it's kind of forcing the mid lane pick to be a AP champion, but Karma is the pickup here, which is kind of very Olaf buff heavy. You want to get this Olaf to move around the map. Obviously, you've got the speed gate out of Jace. You've also got the Karma speed up on the E. Then you have the Zoomies out of Yuumi. It's either a carry Ezreal game or a carry Jace game. Only issues with Cloud9's draft is that they really only have one damage type, and with the Volibear on EG's side, it's going to be kind of easy for the Volibear to survive all of these fights to the late game. And talking about late game champions, it's going to be the Kassadin for Jizuke, a champion that does have a lot of burst past level 16, because his ultimate cooldown is so low he can just be jumping around in fights and it's very hard to lock down. Something that's very good when you're coming into a team that has a lot of mobility like C9's team does, and C9's team is really buff heavy, so being able to get away from this C9 team is kind of the goal. They're also kind of wanting to split push a little this Cloud9 team with that Jace to obviously lock it down, but that Kassadin lock in is a very, very hard thing to deal with if he's not shut down early. It's a good setup for EG into the late game, because a lot of teams now are looking for the sort of scale up potential comps, and the comp they've kind of drafted here is very good at scaling into the late game. Obviously, the use of the the Lulu on the Evil Genius's side, it makes it very, very hard for Cloud9 to obviously get on top of this Kassadin as we load into the game. So this is a very, very interesting draft that's just come out from EG, and it's one that's very, very strong, to say the least, considering the amount of potential. Now, if I am C9 at this point in the game as we first load in, I expect them to probably put a gank towards mid before level 6 it's come out, as it's very easy to gank a Kassadin, and considering it's a Karma in mid lane, it's going to be quite an easy farm lane for her, even though she won't do that much damage through the entirety of the game. It's going to be quite easy for her to do a lot of work. Now, minions have spawned right now. We're going to see Svenskeren starting on the blue buff. Obviously, he'll probably look to head towards top lane to probably get the Volibear some freedom, because Volibear starts on his E and will probably get poked out quite heavily by a Jace, because obviously melee into range matchups tend to favor the range champion early game, and considering Licorice has started his W, it should be quite an easy chance for Licorice to push the wave in. Now, Blabber is starting with the early jungle double thing. He's going with the blue into Gromp straight away. He's dueling them at the same time. It's a common trend for Olaf, and considering Olaf has probably one of the quickest clears in the game, it's very easy for him to obviously do his job. Sven, obviously mimicking the movements of Blabber in terms of the fact he's doing Gromp now, even though he didn't start it. And yeah, we come into some fairly standard laning between bot laners here. Again, if you're the Yuumi, you're starting with the Spell Thief or the spell casting warding tool, which is a bit of a change up from normal Yuumis in the current meta, because normal Yuumis go for the Relic Shield so that you can obviously auto-attack minions and then get your wards that way. But instead we've got the spell-casting one, which is a bit of a change up to normal Yuumis, obviously. It's something that you don't really see, which is why on the Lulu we see the Relic Shield, which is something normal. Now, mid lane, obviously the range matchup into the Kassadin is gonna be a hard thing for the Kassadin to deal with. He's getting pushed under turret and taken quite low here. Because Karma has the range, basically, she's able to use her level advantage that she had up until this point to obviously get her ahead. And one interesting thing to note is Karma has started with the Cull. So obviously, knowing that she has the range advantage mid, she's looking to obviously affect that as we see a gank attempt towards top lane. But obviously the speed gate comes through and helps a bit in Licorice there, allowing him a bit of an escape from the gank attempt and the Sonic wave being dodged. Now this does allow Blabber, knowing that Svenskeren is topside, to enter the bot lane jungle, clear out the wolf camp here, making the level difference a bit more favoured towards the Olaf here, which is what he intends to do as mid lane is just continually being put under turret by this Karma. It's a very strong thing to deal with here, and one thing leads to another, and it usually is very hard to deal with. Now bot side, we do see Lulu obviously setting a bit of vision down in the bot side jungle, obviously knowing that Olaf probably will have been up and stolen a few things, because obviously he's going to have known that Lee was topside, so it's good to set up a bit of vision in case Olaf does try to come for Gromp, but obviously the vision is a bit too delayed because Olaf's already visited the jungle and taken some things. If we look on the minimap, we see top TPing back like normal, taking a good reset here. Got double cloth armor to deal with the harassment from the Jace coming out. And the Doran's Blade on the Jace obviously means he's going to get a bit of its health back every time he attacks. CS fairly even, except in the mid lane and in the jungle, where we see a lot of CS being stacked up here on the C9 side, giving him a bit of an advantage. Obviously, it's 22 CS advantage in that mid lane, and we see a gank towards the mid lane, and TP comes in, very nicely executed here by C9 actually, because Kassadin has no real way to escape. Burnt teleport already to get back to lane. He has no tools basically to escape, so what we see is teleport coming in from Jace to land the Sonic, to land his Q if he needed it to obviously kill off the Kassadin. Another turret plate going over it, and as we see this replay, he just walks up to the lane. He uses his Q, meaning his spell shield goes. Olaf obviously being able to roam up into jungle, just comes straight behind him. Karma tanks up the turret, does enough work, and yeah, Jace's teleport wasn't really needed, and they get a free Ocean Drake off of the play in mid, meaning that C9 are just getting further and further ahead. 2k gold lead already established, and it's very, very hard if you're Evil Geniuses to get that back unless you wait out the game. And oh, that's a bad cue from Licorice, and Volibear knows it. He's going in to try and punish. Ult comes out from Volley. That's going to be put on a long cooldown. He teleports on the turret. Oh, that is a big 1v1 kill there for Kumo. Volibear getting a good easy kill because Licorice misses Q, meant that he didn't have enough damage to execute the Volibear, and Volley knows he can turn it around and actually punish the Jace for his mistake. In mid lane, we still see Kassadin being pushed under the turret, losing a lot of turret plating. Yes, he has hit level 6 now, and it does mean he becomes a bit more of a threat in the mid lane, but obviously the amount of mana that ultimate burns is quite high, and is very hard to obviously deal with if you are a Kassadin at this stage. And what I expect to see is Olaf looking towards the blue buff to try and take it from the Kassadin, not allowing him an escape or any mana to obviously stay in lane, and becoming very, very hard to obviously get any sort of XP or gold into that Kassadin. And this is actually being played very well by C9. Now, we do see Olaf taking red buff there from the Evil Geniuses. Good takeaway. Olaf now has built up 20 CS lead here over the Lee Sin. Lee Sin is just getting out-jungled heavily by a very quick clearing Olaf, and because he controls the Scuttle Crab in the top side of jungle, and also having mid pushed in, it does mean that Olaf can just take the Herald for free. We should expect to see this taken mid lane, because Kassadin realistically won't be able to deal with it. But obviously it could be used as bot to obviously relieve a bit of pressure, or top, where C9 are actually technically losing quite heavily. Now we do see here a bit of trading between the bot lanes here. Not much is going to come from it. It's just a standard thing to see. Looking at the map as a whole, we see Karma going to get her blue buff reset. This is actually a good thing for her. It means that she can keep harassing the Kassadin more, who's actually starting to pick up a bit of CS. He's got it down to only 30 difference. It's a bit more nicer for him, as we now see the Lee Sin making his way up to top lane to obviously punish the flashless Jace. But obviously it's quite hard to do, considering Jace has got an E that pushes you away. Yes, they could technically just jump straight in on him, but obviously it's quite a hard gank to achieve. Considering Jace does have a lot of damage in his kit, it would probably end up being a 1-for-1 trade. And yeah, we see the extent of this push, and what do you know? Rift Herald push straight up mid. We do see a little bit of a trade onto the Olaf from the Lee Sin, but first saw it straight over to the Karma. It's a pretty standard thing here, considering she's had push of the lane for the entirety of the game, and it's very hard for the Kassadin to obviously stop this. And yeah, essentially we're at level 8 for a Kassadin. He really wants to hit level 11 and then level 16 for his big power spikes. He's just trying to play safe, try and get as much gold as possible where he's allowed to. And yeah, this is quite a sad game if you're a Kassadin player, because you're just not going to be able to do much until late. Which is why everyone hates playing Kassadin. Anyway, we see a bit of a trade coming down bot lane. Not much to really say or do, as we look at Karma. She has finished her cool, obviously charging that up 100 CS. Only just got it 6 minutes ago. Very nicely done. Makes it worthwhile. And this is the point where we see the build changes. Lethality has been started by the Jace, got his Ghost Blade already, and he's playing this quite smart. As soon as he sees Volibear start to run towards him, he places his speed gate down, steps through it, getting him back to safety, and then once that, obviously the stun effect for Volibear times out, Jace is able to freely jump in and have lane dominance. It's very, very clever. It's very, very smart. It's obviously control of the lane establishing, because Volibear is unable to do anything, as we see Karma roaming up to the top lane, which is actually a decent thing, as we see Jace going in quite heavily onto the Volibear. Obviously has a lot of armor, as we do see the TP coming in behind the C9 members, and it's going to be the Kassadin coming in, and the Ballast Cone is there. It's not going to help save him. He's pretty much dead. We should expect to see the kill given over to Kassadin, but obviously it's actually gone over to Volibear. Kind of sad, as Blabbers just immediately come in. The Volibear ultimate comes down, and here come the kills for C9. Olaf has a lot of damage. He's 2 kills up now. He has the 200 gold bounty. Very, very nicely done in a counter gank situation by C9, giving them a 2-for-1, as we see the engaged bot side. The Lulu ult gets popped straight onto the Aphelios, and Aphelios dodges just the Truth Shot barrage by the Ezreal, but here comes the Karma speed. Boom! Hit him with the Empower Q onto the Lulu, and another TP comes in bot side. It's going to be the Volibear. He's getting chased down, and he's just managed to run away. Yikes. Home guard plus zoomies from the Yuumi Karma is very, very hard to deal with. Obviously, it's a lot of speed built into the C9 comp, as stated in the draft phase. It's very hard for them to deal with. And this is the point in the game, if you're evil geniuses, you cut your losses. You play even safer than what you were. Considering the massive gold lead difference that C9 has accrued from the mid lane advantage they had from level 1, and then from obviously in the jungle. Now, looking at this fight as a whole, it's a 3v2. And this is obviously Niski getting caught out in the crevice on the top lane. He does get killed by Volibear, very easy, but he's just buying time for Olaf to get up to this top lane. Good flash there by Olaf to predict technically where the Volibear is going to land, and is able to actually just kill him off quite easy. Top lane damage being done by C9, and here comes the re-engage slightly by, wow, Kassadin just getting hit by an undertow kind of just screws him really there. Anyway, this fight we don't see too much. Oh, as we come back to live, Volibear ult getting used defensively, Yuumi ult's obviously used, locks down Aphelios, and there's the Jace lethality build using the Ghostblade damage to absolutely destroy the Aphelios. And yeah, now this is pain for EG. Down goes the Lulu, and I do believe we should see the Volibear die. Yuumi kills it, and oh boy, that is a pretty dominant showing from C9. Now we do see Kassadin picking up turret damage in the bot lane. He's going to now look to obviously split the map to get some XP. This is probably his only way of getting gold, as we do see the TP in from Jace. Oh, if the Kassadin's able to obviously jump away, yeah, I think he's dead. If he went in with his flash, he would have probably killed the Kassadin. But no, Kassadin manages to get away. It's a good disengage by Jizuke, I guess, to save his life, but he does have to burn flash for it. It's still a very strong performance out of the C9 team. And the CSD in mid is slightly shrinking. Kassadin's starting to come online, even though his team is technically 7k gold behind C9. But Infernal Drake is coming up in 9 seconds here for probably USC 9 take. It should be pretty free. And because of that, we should see Sven obviously take the Rift Herald. Get a bit of gold here for him. But we do see C9 actually coming up to the top side of the map to obviously try and counter this using the Karma speed boost to get there quicker. And yeah, that just forces EG off of this. And this should be Olaf quickly taking this. With the Yuumi on him as well, I should point out. So he's going to be very quick. He has got his Black Cleaver online to deal with that Volibear, which is a good pickup for the Olaf. And yeah, this is a lot of damage. Forcing that extra turret shot onto the Volibear means that it's going to be kind of hard and pretty bad if Volibear stays, as the Speedy Boy has already come down. The Olaf's here. Gets the big armor spike, but he's not going to make it under his turret. And yeah, pretty good gank there by the Olaf. And Herald gets put bot side. Should be an easy turret. Might get a charge off onto the second tier turret, but that is definitely going to be Infernal Drake for C9 here. It's a good pickup because that puts them on to Soul Point. And in 5 minutes time, we should be seeing a big fight between EG and C9. And since the last pointing out of the Kassadin level, it is now level 11. I think it was on that when we last spoke about it. It's now just ticked over to 12. So hopefully 5 minutes time from now, it should be level 16. And we should see a big fight between C9 and EG. But one thing to note is Kassadin is slowly creeping up in CS to the Karma. Karma has kind of stopped farming, started giving over the farm over to Ezreal in the mid lane, and yeah, we do see it actually closing in between these two teams, even though it is still C9 heavily advantaged. So, here's the hard part for EG. Being able to get a lockdown onto one member of C9. Reason I say that is they're going to probably need to get a pick here in order to actually get themselves back into the game. But considering the amount of movement speed options this C9 team has, it's going to be very hard to do. And you look at the entirety of C9 as we do see Jace just pushing Volibear back under turret. This is going to be quite hard to do. Ezreal now has roamed down bot for the second tier turret, and that should probably be a dead Yuumi. A dead volley. And yep, he's getting poked down. Good block there by the Lee Sin to dodge out to block the Q from the Ezreal, and that is Infernal coming out of the Aphelios. Gonna block a lot of damage, even though the turret gets taken down to a quarter health. This is quite a big, powerful game out of C9 here, as Jizuke is slowly farming in the side lane, getting himself some sort of gold, getting him to 16, and being able to jump on top of these members of C9. Now Baron is up, and what we should expect to see is Vision being slowly pushed up by C9 into the top jungle of Evil Geniuses, as we see already a red ward there in the brush, obviously in a very good position because it checks the pathway up towards where Krugs are. So Svenskeren, if he didn't go by the turret, was probably spotted, and he's been spotted right now. This is great news for C9 because obviously it means that they get freedom technically a bit more in the bot lane jungle, so if they want to take out stuff there, it also means that they can push up bot lane a bit further. It's very, very good ward there for C9. Ward does get chucked into the Baron pit by EG, but expect that to be cleaned out pretty soon, because it's on the C9 side of the map. And where's the C9 side of the map? Pretty much to where you see Lee Sin stood. Yeah, that's all C9 map. And the vision gets cleared out in the jungle, which is expected here by C9. It means that they're going to obviously now, because it's a minute away, or almost a minute away for Infernal Soul, we expect to see C9 splitting the map a bit more, forcing basically EG to choose what they go towards, because that is a lot of poke onto the... Yeah, essentially what we should see C9 do is a big siege mid, force the minion wave to be constantly pushing in two lanes, if not the third lane, and this is a TP coming in from EG into top lane, but that is definitely a dead Kassadin. Ooh, rip Kassadin. Gets popped up, and the Olaf roam behind the turret with Yuumi makes this such an easy play to execute. The Yuumi just locks down the Kassadin, so he's not able to keep his jumps across. That is definitely going to be Baron over to C9 here, and probably they're going to reset off this and go to the Infernal Drake. If not, we should see probably Jace head straight there now, in order to obviously set that up for them, because they do control the Scuttle Crab, and they should... Oh, they're just going to roam straight down. This might be an advantage for EG, considering they have the inside track on it, but TP comes from C9, and it's going to be Sven. He's got the reset in, and Olaf's immediately gone in. He's popped the jungler. Yeah, this is basically Infernal Soul, and probably going to be a game here for C9. Yeah, there's not much they could do here. And here comes the Jace zoning with the Qs and the speed gate. Kumo is just almost killed here. Zen is just going crazy. He just doesn't care anymore. He's got Yuumi on his side. He's got the portable health kit. He does not need to play safe realistically anymore. He can do a wild turtle and 1v5. But this is the point in the game where we look at Jizuke, level 13, tied highest level on his team. Obviously not high enough, as literally he needs to be level 16 in order to actually be noticed in this game. But this game is pretty much over and done with. Ezreal empowered Qs with Baron buff, with the Frozen Mallet slow, with the Infernal Soul damage. It's going to be very hard to deal with, especially with a Jace alongside him to speed him up, especially with the Karma to speed him up, especially with his Yuumi who can sit on him as well and speed him up. This is the point in the game where instead of it being an Olaf carry, it becomes the Ezreal show. Because yes, Olaf is 7, 1 and 4. Ezreal still hasn't died. And this should be him just chipping away at turrets, killing them away. And this is kind of hard for EG to do anything. They have really no resistances on the Volibear to deal with the AD damage coming out of C9. He does have the Frozen Heart, but even then, he has no Thormail. Really should have been useful. And yeah, Aphelios just gets absolutely popped here, as we do see Cloud9 clean up this last remaining members for EG, and with the Nexus turrets fallen, we're going to see the Nexus go with it, as we just see the artillery being rained in by C9 into the fountain, and that is going to be the win for C9 here against Evil Geniuses. And oh boy, that was a very, very one-sided game, considering the fact that they drafted for late game EG. They weren't allowed to get to the late game. Kassadin was just shut out, shut down, not given any advantage at all by C9, and the Karma is such a good pick into it, because you've obviously got the Q to poke him, harass him away from the wave, then use the W if he tries to step up to you, and then you can just E if he decides to get a bit cocky, run away. And that's essentially how Jensen played the mid lane, played it perfectly. It's not Jensen in mid lane, I'm so used to him being on C9. It was Niski in the mid lane. Its draft by C9 was a lot of supports and tanks. It was essentially protect the Olaf / protect the Ezreal comp that really wasn't needed to do their job. They were just needed to keep mid lane down, and this was a big win for C9, as probably one of the closest competitors in the league has just been defeated by them. Anyway, that's going to be it for this game breakdown and the entire cast. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new, and if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.